The movie begins with Paige Collins and her husband, Leo, leaving a movie theater together. As they're driving home, they stop at a stop sign, and Paige unbuckles her seatbelt to lean over and kiss Leo. Just then, a truck crashes into their car from behind, and Paige is thrown through the windshield. Both are rushed to the hospital, seriously injured. As Leo speaks in a voiceover, he reflects on how moments of impact help us find who we are, and the story shifts to show how he and Paige first met. Flashbacks reveal their journey together, showing how they fell in love, got engaged, and eventually married, blending these memories with scenes from the present. When Paige finally wakes up in the hospital, she sees Leo but thinks he's her doctor. It quickly becomes clear she has lost her memory. When she starts talking to Leo, Paige tries to understand what parts of her memory are still intact. She learns that she can remember some things but has forgotten everything from the last few years of her life. She still recalls wanting to be an artist in high school, but she can't remember why she left law school or why her life took the path it did. This leaves Paige feeling lost, as she struggles to make sense of her life and her relationship with Leo. After the accident, Paige's parents find out and come to visit her in the hospital. It's the first time Leo meets them. When discussing Paige's recovery, the doctor suggests that she return to her normal routine. But this creates tension. Her parents and Leo have very different ideas about what that routine should look like. Leo explains that Paige had stopped speaking to her parents before the accident, mainly because her father had pressured her to stay in law school while she wanted to pursue art school. Paige, however, doesn't remember this, nor does she understand why she ended her engagement with her ex-fiancé, Jeremy. Leo tries to convince Paige to come home with him, where she had been living before the accident, hoping that being in familiar surroundings will help her memory. But Paige, still unsure, asks if he has any proof of their relationship, like a diary. Leo admits that he doesn't know of such a diary existing. Her parents insist she go home with them instead, and Paige agrees, wondering if maybe she married Leo for some practical reason rather than love. But just as she's about to leave with her parents, Leo runs up and plays a voice message she had left for him. In it, she sounds genuinely happy and deeply in love with him. Hearing this, Paige decides to go back with Leo, hoping that being with him might bring back her lost memories. On the drive home, Leo tries to help Paige catch up on the time she's lost. He mentions that the current president is Barack Obama, whom she recognizes as a senator. Leo tells her that she actually voted for him, but Paige doesn't remember that either. When they arrive, Leo has arranged a surprise welcome home party with all their friends. Paige, however, finds herself surrounded by faces she doesn't recognize, and the situation quickly becomes overwhelming. Feeling lost and frustrated, she retreats from the party to be alone. Later, after everyone has left, she shares her anger with Leo, frustrated with a life she no longer remembers. She asks Leo to give her some space, and he respects her wishes, leaving her alone for the night. The next morning, Paige appears wearing a Chicago Cubs hoodie, saying it's the only piece of clothing she feels comfortable in. Leo smiles and gently informs her that it's actually his hoodie, not hers. As she's eating breakfast, she picks up a piece of bacon and takes a bite, only for Leo to remind her that she's a vegetarian. Paige is surprised, as even her own eating habits seem foreign to her. Highlighting just how much of her life she can't remember, Paige tries to reassure Leo that she'll be fine on her own and encourages him to go to work. Although reluctant, he finally agrees and leaves her at home. After he's gone, Paige continues eating the bacon, still unfamiliar with the parts of her life she's forgotten. Alone in the house, Paige begins to uncover more signs of her life with Leo. She finds a video recording of their wedding, watching as they exchange vows and celebrate with friends and family. While watching, she notices that she's holding a menu from a place called Café Mnemonic in the video. Curious, Paige decides to visit Café Mnemonic herself. But when she arrives, nothing feels familiar, and she soon realizes she's lost her way back home. With no memory of Leo's phone number, she calls her mother instead, who comes to help her. That evening, Paige and Leo join her parents for dinner. Her mother serves filet mignon, announcing that it's Paige's favorite dish. Paige happily accepts, not realizing she's acting out of line with her former self, while Leo watches, confused and unsure how to navigate this unfamiliar version of his wife. At dinner with her family and later at a bar with her old friends, Leo struggles to fit in. Paige's family and friends seem more at ease with her former life, while Leo feels like an outsider. He continues trying to help her regain her memories, but Paige appears more focused on understanding the reasons behind her choices, like why she left law school or broke up with her ex-fiancé, Jeremy. In one encounter with Jeremy, caught up in her confusion and old feelings, she even ends up kissing him. Determined to reconnect, Leo tries to remind her of the playful moments they used to share. He attempts to tickle her, a ritual they enjoyed before the accident, but it doesn't resonate with her now. She doesn't remember it, and the moment falls flat. The next morning, Leo takes Paige to her art studio, hoping it might trigger something. He turns up her favorite music, encouraging her to work on a piece of art, thinking this might bring back some of her old self. But instead of inspiration, the loud music only gives her a headache, and the attempt to reconnect through her art leaves them both feeling more distant than before. Paige's doctor advises her to face the gaps in her memory rather than fear her past. With her sister Gwen's wedding coming up, Paige decides to stay with her parents until the event. Meanwhile, Leo, still holding out hope, asks her on a date, and she agrees. The date goes well, allowing them to reconnect, and the night ends with them sharing an intimate moment before he takes her home. When Leo returns to his apartment, he's greeted by a stack of overdue bills, reminding him of the financial strain he's been under. After Gwen's wedding, Paige's father pulls Leo aside and confronts him about his debts. He implies that Paige would be better off if Leo divorced her, suggesting this would solve many of her problems. Later, at the wedding reception, Jeremy boasts to Leo about having spent time with Paige, hinting at a past relationship. Unable to hold back, Leo punches Jeremy in a fit of frustration. This leads to a confrontation between Leo and Paige, where they finally acknowledge that their relationship is no longer working. Realizing that the love they once shared has faded in the face of everything that's happened, they agree to go their separate ways. After the separation, Paige returns to law school, and Leo reluctantly signs the divorce papers, accepting that they must move on. While shopping one day, Paige encounters an old friend named Diane, whom she recognizes instantly. Diane apologizes for having been involved in an affair with Paige's father, and in that moment, Paige recalls why she originally distanced herself from her family. Later, Paige confronts her mother about hiding this painful truth from her. Her mother explains that she chose to stay with Paige's father, focusing on all the good he had done rather than leaving him over one mistake. Although her mother's decision makes sense to her, Paige realizes that, for her own healing, she needs space from her family. She understands that distancing herself from them is necessary to rediscover her true self and identity without the weight of their past choices. Curious about why Leo never mentioned her father's affair, Paige asks him. Leo explains that he wanted to win her love on his own, rather than driving her away from her family. Moved by his words, Paige starts to realize that he had her best interests at heart. While attending a law class, Paige absent-mindedly begins sketching, reminding herself of how she originally left law school to pursue art. Embracing her passion once more, she returns to sculpting and drawing, rekindling the joy she had once found in her art. Meanwhile, Jeremy confesses that he broke up with his current girlfriend, hoping to rekindle things with her. But Paige turns him down, telling him she needs to experience life on her own. Jeremy admits that this was the same reason she ended things with him the first time, and Paige recognizes she's truly seeking her independence now. As the seasons change, Leo's voiceover reflects on how moments of impact and ripple effects bring unpredictable change. Some particles crash together, drawing closer, while others drift apart. In her room, Paige discovers an old menu card from Café Mnemonic, where she had once written her wedding vows. Deeply moved, she feels a surge of memories and emotions tied to her life with Leo. The movie ends with Paige waiting for Leo outside the closed Café Mnemonic. When he arrives, they decide to try something new together instead of their usual Cuban spot, stepping forward into an unknown future while cherishing the connection that brought them together. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.